recognize black people as Americans. Um, busing had started.
What do you mean by bussing?
Well, busing, it means that the schools have started integrating. So what they did, they let the white people choose what schools they wanted their children to go to. So if they wanted to have their children go to a particular side of town where there was only black people living, because at that time we could only live in certain parts of the town, because they made the rent or either the houses for sale so expensive to be able to keep us out of certain areas. So they let them choose the schools that they wanted their children to go to. So if it was certain schools on our side of town that got good ratings, they had the best teachers or whatever, if they wanted their children to go to that school, they would take us out and bus us all the way from our home, our neighborhood, all the way across town to go to other schools so the white people could have those spots. So that's what we call busing. So, because they had to have a choice. And if we were in their way as little black kids, then you had to be bused somewhere else to make room for their children. So,
How did that affect you, do you think?
um,
Do you think it affected you at all, being that you were taken out of an environment that you were growing up in and you were well familiar with, being bused all the way to a different side of town?
I think when it started, it didn't really affect me because when it started, the rules and the changes had just began, and I was young. I was born in '64. That's when during the Martin Luther King era. So I was very young. But as I aged and started getting into school, I'll say around, I don't know, maybe third grade, I started understanding it better, starting to recognize what was being done. But when it first started, no, I didn't. But when I aged and I started recognizing it, it was like, you're still, you are still not giving us our rights. You are still denying us our rights. So we can't walk out of our houses and go down the street to the bus stop. We have to go down to the street to the bus stop to be shipped to the other side of town. So you are still not recognizing black people as human beings or treating them as they have right. They wasn't recognizing the movement, the change that was supposed to be taking place. So as I did get older, around third grade and their fourth, I started to appreciate what we were still going through, and the struggle was still real. So,
Being that it's now 2022, it's March now, 2022, March 2nd. What similarities do you see from you growing up, being born in 1964, and going through having to be bused from across town to how black people are being treated today?
that story has a lot of ins and outs to it as far as how I feel about it. I can say that the things that are going on now and even within the past 5 years, I'm quite shocked and simply disgusted of how we are still being treated. Our people are being hunted and shot down like it's open season to murder our people, especially our men. It started out that way, and then, as if that wasn't enough, they started doing it to women. I know it made me desperately afraid for my sons. I have 3 sons, and to know that they were out there hunting people, and I call it hunting because most of the time these people weren't armed. There's certain details or certain things that didn't go with murdering them or shooting them 5 to 11 times. So I was really afraid for my children. I remember when Brian was here, he had spent the night here with me.
Who's Brian?
Brian is my son, my middle son.
How old is Brian?
He's 36. I have 3 sons, 40, 36, and 30. Anyway, he had spent the night over here for whatever reason it was. But he left to go to work. I left right behind him. And I saw that one of his tail lights was out. And I remember I just started panicking. So I called him and I said, Brian, you need to go and get that tail light fixed. He said, I know it's out, Mom. I said, but you need to go and get it fixed as soon as possible. I said, because they are picking our young men off as if it was open season to murder you guys. He said, Mama, I don't even have my registration papers, license, or anything in my glove compartment. I don't even want to reach for anything because they might kill me. I just leave it right laying in my dash or even on the front seat. And I just remember I started shedding tears driving to work. What a shame. How awful is it to be that scared that you're going to be shot down by the police? Because they were stopping people for any little thing. I call it GP, general purposes. And people didn't know what was going to happen when they pulled you over. Even when I had a little red Suzuki and I knew my headlight was out and I had scheduled an appointment to take it to Suzuki because they told me in order to replace their headlight, they were going to have to drop that side of the front end. So I made an appointment to have that done. But that night, I left going to Walmart. It happened to be New Year's Eve. And my appointment was scheduled the day after, a couple of days after New Year. Anyway, I heard the sirens and I saw the lights. I had pulled up on I take that back, it wasn't Walmart, it was Kroger. And I had pulled up on Kroger's parking lot and the police pulled up behind me. I was very scared, but I had to not show it because I'm the type of person I refuse to let anybody intimidate me. So when he walked up to the car, I let the window down and he asked for my registration, my license. I showed him that. He said, I hope I didn't scare you. I didn't mean to scare you, ma'am. I just wanted to let you know that you had a headlight out. I said, yeah, I know. I said, I have an appointment to get it fixed. So I remember I had the bulb. I had bought a bulb and it was in my glove compartment. I said, I have a bulb in my glove compartment. Do you want me to show you? He said, no, ma'am. I just wanted to let you know in case you weren't aware that your headlight was out. So that's all it was to that. But the panic was real. But I really wasn't so much scared for myself as I was for my children because they were young black men. It's a lot of things I can say and talk about on that subject, but I can tell you that this time, 2022, it's devastating. It's very hurtful. It's very sick, and I feel like we are still, as a culture and as people, still being humiliated and taken advantage of.
Do you think that's because in our community, meaning the black community, as opposed to the white community or the Hispanic community or an Asian community, that we're divided? Because I see white people getting together and making sure that they're protected. I see Hispanic people getting together, making sure that they're protected, and Asians have their own communities. But black people, our communities, even though we have our own, even within our own communities, we're divided. How do we fix that?
What's the question again?
How do we?
It's a difference?
No, how do we fix the division that exists within our community?
I can't tell you how to fix it. I can tell you I have some ideas of some things that should change. Other cultures, Spanish, Hispanic, Asians, those people culture are different from mine, and it sounds redundant. But I say that because they're used to working together as teams. They're used to holding hands and picking each other up and knowing that divided we fall, together we stand, and they live by that. That's part of their life rules. They don't mind being a little bit uncomfortable because it's 8 people in the house. They don't mind waiting on a ride because they only have 2 cars. They're not having fit because somebody's in the bathroom too long. They're willing to deal with, I call those little bitty circumstances. But we, in our community, we have a lot of problems coming together. I think some of it is because we are afraid that somebody is going to have more than what we have. I'm not going to have him because I can't let him get on top of me. The other part of that is I got to keep up with the Joneses kind of thing. If they bought a new car, I got to buy a new car. Not living within their means because their neighbors or their friend or coworker got something more than what they had. The most important thing is I think we need to get our thoughts, feelings, and come together and get united and let the little BS go. Because at the end of the day, if we don't come together, we will be back to where we started. I think the division is some of the reason is people are living a certain lifestyle because they have this. Other people are living a certain lifestyle because they don't. But again, I say, united we stand, divided we fall. So I think unity, coming together as a unity, even if it's like neighborhood meetings, just in your subdivision, the neighborhood groups, they say even in your church or your work, even if it starts out that small, we got to start somewhere to get this thinking process that we have and know that we all are here and going through the same thing.
For those that don't know who you are, and we're going to wrap this up here, what would you like your closing statements to be? Is being my mother, the only mother I've ever had and I've loved, and I know I've put you through a lot of shit over the years. And what would you like to lead this introduction with folks seeing this? Who is Celestine Threadgill? Who are you?
Oh, Celestine Threadgill is made of a whole lot of things. I would say the first thing is independence. Fearing God. Loving my children. My family. I see family everywhere I go. Some people call me an empath because I take other people's situations to heart. I would want people to know I'm a caring, passionate person. And I'll give you anything I have to give, and sometimes we'll give it when I don't. I love my children with all my heart. I know that I've had a whole lot of health issues, and there's a lot of people that has, but I thank God that every time they put me to sleep, He woke me up. I want people to know that I'm strong, and I refuse to be or let the devil in my life, and I'm going to continue to be strong and a determined, strong black woman until God takes me out of this world.
All right. Thank you, Mama.
Welcome.
I love you.
I love you too.